What happens when it rains cats and dogs? You have to be careful not to step on a poodle. Today, I'm going to recap a 2012 action crime film called Six Bullets. The movie begins with a man named Samson. He walks into a nightclub that is also a hub for human trafficking. That night, Samson is negotiating a deal with a trafficking network for the trafficking of Victor. Samson gives a high enough fee, and the head of the cartel seems delighted to meet him. When Samson places some money on the table, he abruptly attacks everyone in the ring with a knife. Finally, he and the rest of the criminal group get into a battle. Despite being alone, he can easily defeat each member of the criminal syndicate one by one. He is a former member of the Special Forces and a top police officer. Therefore, his fighting abilities are unrivaled. He moves to a room to find Victor and save him after successfully defeating all criminal gang members. He explains to Victor that he is an errand guy ordered by his mother to bring him back. Soon after, they proceed to the basement and ride their motorcycle out of the club. Before Samson leaves, he activates the remote timer, which detonates the bombs placed in all the cars and corners of the area. A few seconds after, a massive explosion erupts in the structure. The explosion murders all members of the trafficking gang. Not in Samson's knowledge, he had forgotten something crucial. The explosion and fire will also kill all the prisoners in the building. The next morning, Samson is awakened by a police phone call. He is summoned to the trafficking hub, which had been scorched. When he gets on the scene, an investigator named Steve is furious and disappointed in him for what he did the night before. He inadvertently killed numerous youngsters who were being held captive there. The majority died due to carbon dioxide poisoning induced by the fire. According to Inspector Steve, Samson, who was previously a member of the Special Police Unit, is still employed individually by some parties. Although his goal was to save the kid, his actions resulted in the deaths of others and significant losses for the police. Steve advises him to leave his job and stop interfering with police matters. Over the next 6 months, he changes careers and becomes a butcher, living a normal life like everyone else. He is still scared by the blunders he made 6 months ago. He frequently saw reflections of the flames he started. Next, a family from the United States visits Moldova. Fayden, the father, is married to Monica. They have a daughter named Becky, who is a teenager. They arrived at Moldova's international airport that morning, planning to stay in a hotel. They appear to be enjoying their arrival in Moldova. Fayden is an MMA fighter who will compete there. When Fayden is photographing his beloved daughter, he is unaware that a woman named Amalia is taking photos of her from behind. Becky begs her father's permission to go to the balcony to find a more stable cell phone network when they arrive at the hotel. Meanwhile, Fayden is glued to the TV, watching MMA events. Becky happens to meet Amalia, who is standing on the balcony of the adjacent room. According to Amalia, the signal on the lobby floor is more stable than the signal on their floor. Fayden then looks for Becky while calling out her name. However, when Fayden returns to check the balcony, he doesn't find his daughter and only spots the laptop on the table. He then attempts to call her cell phone but receives no response. Meanwhile, Monica has no idea where Becky is because she has been in the restroom since they arrived. Fayden gets concerned when he can't find her and quickly informs the hotel manager. The hotel CCTV is reviewed, but no hints are found. Fayden then contacts the media, and word of Becky's absence spreads quickly. The Moldovan police instantly organize all of their members to look for Becky's whereabouts due to Fayden's reputation as a former champion MMA fighter who is well known and respected. Samson, taking a break from his busy work at the butcher shop, watches the news of Becky's disappearance on television. Becky's parents, Fayden and Monica, come to see Samson shortly after to seek assistance finding their daughter. Fayden states that someone from the American embassy instructed him to visit him and seek assistance. He explains that he can't help them because he is just a regular person. Monica, who had previously served in the police force, recognizes his tattoo and knows he had worked in a special police division. Fayden and Monica beg Samson for help finding their daughter and even pay a substantial sum. However, he denies the plea because he is still traumatized by his previous mistakes. That evening, just as he is about to close up shop and head home, his son Selwyn comes to see him. Selwyn is the guy from the American embassy who recommended Samson to Becky's parents. Selwyn tries to persuade his father to assist Becky's parents in finding their teen daughter. According to Selwyn, the police cannot do much because specific authorities still shield the real crime gang. But once again, Samson declines the plea. Fayden hasn't given up and continues approaching people on the roadside near the nightclub to help find his daughter. When Fayden approaches a bar to inquire, while holding a photo of Becky, some guys insult him, claiming that Fayden is incapable of caring for his daughter. This immediately triggers his emotions, and he starts fighting some guys. He can't defeat them on his own because there are too many of them, and they severely beat him. Fortunately, a man with a black mask arrives out of nowhere to save him and beats all of the men in the pub. The man in the black mask turns out to be Samson, who had followed Fayden for quite some time. Samson then takes Fayden to his butcher shop to have his injuries treated. When Fayden arrives at Samson's butcher shop, Samson assures him that he is willing to assist him in finding his daughter, while Samson works alone and without interference. The following night, Samson goes to the home of a businessman named Lucas. Samson initially disguises himself as a messenger to access the gate guard station and assassinate the guard. He then enters the security control center and Lucas' room without being noticed by the other guards. After entering Lucas' room, he promptly apprehends Lucas and asks him about Becky's location. Lucas states that he knows nothing about her disappearance. Hearing this, Samson threatens Lucas with gathering information about her and turning it over. And if Lucas is found to be the mastermind behind all these crimes, Samson will return to murder him. And it turns out that he is correct in his forecast. Lucas is the brains behind Becky's abduction. After Samson departs, Lucas instructs Vlad, one of his thugs, to murder Becky. Vlad shot Amalia and her partner to clear the trail after hearing Lucas' commands before threatening Becky with gasoline. The next day, authorities discover a charred body they assume to be Becky's. Becky's bracelet on the corpse's left arm attests to this. Samson, who is still unsure after viewing the body's condition, requests that a DNA test be performed to determine who the body belonged to. Soon after, Fayden, Monica, and Samson head to the hospital to await the results of the DNA test on the bodies. Monica burst into tears after learning from the forensic doctor that the corpse is Becky's. She smacks Samson fiercely because she believes his reckless actions are to blame for everything. The next morning, Fayden and Monica prepare to return to America, while Samson expresses his anguish by drinking heavily. Soon, Lucas and his thugs arrive at Samson's butcher shop to exact retribution for his acts the day before. When Lucas' henchmen whip Samson's back with iron chains, he is still inebriated and can't fight back. Fortunately, he can climb back up and fight all of Lucas' thugs. The shootout between Samson and Lucas, as well as all of his thugs, is fierce, but Samson survives. He strangely remembers the jewelry on Becky's left hand. Samson recalls Becky always wearing her bracelet on her right wrist, so he believes the body discovered by police the other day is not Becky's. He then heads straight to the international airport to meet Fayden and Monica. When he arrives at the airport, he approaches them right away. He then states that Becky was still alive while describing the bracelets on Becky's hands. According to Samson, the forensic doctor who examined the body may have been bribed by the suspect in Becky's kidnapping. The three immediately proceed to the Pryor hospital to arrest the forensic doctor. After he is detained, Monica and Fayden compelled the doctor to reveal who had paid him. Stelu, according to the doctor, is the individual who paid him to falsify the DNA test findings. Stelu is the Deputy Defense Minister of Moldova and the owner of a trafficking company. Stelu kidnaps American girls on occasion because he enjoys having American girls serve him. He is aware that the forensic doctor told the three that day his secret. After hearing the doctor's call, he directs Vlad to handle Becky's parents' difficulties. On the other hand, Samson transports Fayden and Monica to a place to keep them safe from Stelu. He reassembles the previously stored weaponry. Meanwhile, Becky is observed being held hostage in a remote spot away from cities. When the guards around Becky become careless, she grabs her smartphone and dials her father's number. Through the phone signal, Fayden and Monica can locate Becky. But it turns out that it is all part of the kidnappers' plan to capture Fayden and Monica. They promptly notify Samson to accompany them to Chiornea prison. Samson tries to dissuade them from following in the suspect's footsteps in the kidnapping. Fayden and Monica arrive at the destination and quickly look for a means to get in because armed force strongly guard it. They go directly into the place after successfully removing the gatekeeper. They carefully follow the guard from behind after noticing one holding their daughter. But once again, it is all a setup to catch them. Fortunately, Samson arrives just in time to prevent them from being shot by the guards. They enter the building after obtaining the key from one of the deceased guards. They rush over to a woman who looks similar to Becky. However, it turns out the girl is not Becky, but another girl the criminal organization kidnapped. They then decide to let go, save the girl, and resume their hunt for Becky. Several armed guards on the way to meet them. Samson promptly shot the armed guards, using smoke gas to obscure their vision. Watching the action from behind the monitor, Vlad quickly orders his minions to surround Samson and the others. The shootout is unavoidable between the thugs and Samson's crew. As he watches Vlad's goons perish, he removes his thugs and offers Fayden a choice between Becky and the woman Samson had saved earlier. Vlad threatens to kill Becky if Fayden does not agree to the swap, so they have no choice but to make it. Samson suspects this maneuver is a trap, so he plans to observe the exchange safely to locate Vlad's mercenary sniper. After the exchange, Vlad immediately orders his men to kill Becky's parents, but Samson can prevent this. He had already killed 2 of the snipers. The cops arrive at the same time and encircle the area. Fortunately, the girl earlier who had swapped places with Becky survives because Samson had given her the rifle. Vlad dies after being shot in the head by the girl. Finally, all of the American girls who were held captive by Vlad have been liberated. The next day, Samson and Selwyn drive the Faydens back to Moldova's international airport. Stelu prays in a church because he regrets his deeds. When he is confessing, Samson arrives out of nowhere and shoots him dead, declaring that God might forgive him, but Samson won't. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.